everyone, Joe here from Snake Draft FPL, and welcome to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. Looking forward to Game Week 13, we've picked out a couple of players in each position with good fixtures that you could realistically pick up in your draft league. If you find this useful, please do hit the subscribe button and like the video, as it really does help us grow the channel. I'm riding solo again this week, so I hope you don't get too bored with the sound of my voice by the end. I'll try and be as quick as I can. Without any further ado, let's get into the first pick. Okay then, starting with goalkeepers. The first pick this week is Gator of Palace. Once again, I love picking him in these because he's quite undervalued in Draft FPL. And I just think he's very reliable. Villa at home this week. I think this will probably be quite a low scoring game. So yeah, I think Gator might be quite a good pick. He's kind of renowned for save points and bonus points. Palace have been looking pretty stable. I know they conceded a few this week, but it was kind of against the XG of the game and was kind of a freak result, I think. So I'm not too concerned about them defensively in the future, and I think they'll do well going forward. Okay, second goalkeeper pick this week is Sanchez of Brighton. Brighton have been putting up great defensive numbers, really solid outfit. Don't concede too many big chances. Don't concede many chances in general, to be honest. It's Leeds at home for them this week, and Leeds are still massively hit by injuries. Not really sure when their big boys are going to get back. So yeah, I think this is quite a sensible pick if you need a goalkeeper this week, and Sanchez is free. I don't really see much downside to it. It just looks like not necessarily a nailed on clean sheet, but it's one of the better chances from the fixtures this week from the middling teams. Okay, on to defenders. First up, we've got Nori of Wolves. Looks like he's taken the spot from Marcel now. And he's been playing well, so I think he'll keep the spot in the lineup. And Wolves look very stable at the back, decent defensive shape with that 5 at the back. And yeah, Norwich away this week, I could see a clean here easily. Even with Norwich's win against Saints at the weekend, I am not convinced by them going forward. They didn't look particularly fluid, but it was a bit of a scrappy game that they took advantage of. So I think Wolves could keep another clean here. And Nori, good attacking stats. 6 chances created in the last 4 games is very good from a defender. So yeah, I think great pickup this week if he's free. Okay, next up is Rico Henry of Brentford. Kind of a strange one because Brentford haven't looked great at the back. They're conceding a lot of chances and they're conceding a fair amount of goals as well. So clean sheet prospects aren't great. But Everton at home is not a bad fixture for them. And I could see them sort of shifting the focus a little bit, trying to go a bit more defensive because they are conceding so many chances and so many goals. And you feel like Thomas Frank is the kind of manager that will look at that and think we need to sort of tighten up a bit. So it wouldn't surprise me if the clean sheets, or maybe not clean sheets, but at least fewer chances start getting conceded by them. And Rico Henry is one of the most attacking defenders in the league, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, in the last 4 games, he's got 0.8 XG, 2 big chances. It's not quite up there with sort of the Chelsea wing backs and the Liverpool fullbacks, but it's not that far off. And he's right up there for attacking stats in the league. And yeah, I think Everton at home is a decent fixture for them. Everton haven't been putting up many trees and they've still got a lot of injuries. So I think if you're struggling for a defender this week, I think Rico Henry's a good shout. Okay, last up for the defenders, we've got Matty Cash of Villa. Like I said earlier, I think Villa Palace could be a low scoring game. Villa, obviously, new manager bounce with Gerrard coming in. They looked pretty good versus Brighton. They were kind of in control of the whole game. Didn't concede too many chances and then sort of hit them in the last few minutes. And yeah, I think they could see something similar against Palace, to be honest. I could easily see a clean here. and Matty Cash does like to get forward up that right-hand side. He's got a decent delivery on him. So, yeah, I think he's a decent pick and a pretty decent long-term hold as well, especially if Villa start improving under Gerrard. Okay, on to midfielders. First up, I've gone for Podence of Wolves. I think he's a good player. I think he's getting back to sort of his best at the moment. And I think he's going to stay in the side as well. I think they look better with him in the front three, as opposed to the likes of Traore or Trincao. I think Podence links the play better. And he does have a bit more end product. Not loads, but definitely more end product than the other two. Norwich away, great fixture. If he starts, this is an absolute humdinger. So he played well last week, got the assist for the Jimenez goal against West Ham, and I'm not convinced they'll change it. I think he'll keep his place. So definitely potential for more returns against Norwich for Podence. Okay, second midfield pick. This is probably firmly in the punt territory, I'd say. Ashley Young of Villa. You never really know with a new manager how the lineup's going to settle. Young, you wouldn't have expected to be one of the first names on the team sheet, and he didn't start at the weekend, but came on at 0-0 for Buendia, who didn't have his best day. And Young actually made a really positive impact. He set up the Watkins goal and kind of looked dangerous for the whole sort of half an hour that he was on the pitch. So it wouldn't surprise me if Gerrard went with him to start in the next game, possibly at the expense of Buendia. So yeah, I think it's definitely a punt. But if you've got a spot on your bench for a couple of weeks, and then he keeps his place in the side, could be a valuable pickup and one that in the sort of mid-term could do quite well for you. Okay, final midfield pick for this week is Westwood. Probably the most boring pick I've ever put on one of these videos. Very uninspiring, but he does take a vast majority of the set pieces for Burnley, which I didn't actually realise. I was quite surprised by that, but yeah, he does. And Spurs at home. Under Conte, they've looked, well, it's a bit too early to say really, but they've looked maybe marginally better defensively. Set pieces generally take a little bit longer to implement defensive systems with new managers, so it wouldn't surprise me if they concede a few set piece goals over the first month or so under Conte's reign. So that is something I'd potentially look to target if I needed a midfielder. And yeah, I think Westwood has the potential to get assists from off the big centre backs in this game. So yeah, I don't love the player. I don't really love the pick, but sometimes you just have to be practical, and I think it kind of makes sense to me. Okay, then on to forwards, and the first one might be my most picked player on these videos, which I suppose is kind of surprising, and that is Joelinton for Newcastle. I mean, I wouldn't say he's underrated, but he might be underpicked in leagues. He's quite often free. He plays on and off, but at the moment it looks like he's going to start under Howe. Played at the weekend, did all right, scored. And I can see him keeping his place. It's Arsenal at home this week, who aren't the best defence in the league. They're not terrible, but they're not the best. And forwards are so thin on the ground in FPL. Sometimes you do have to scrape the barrel, and Joelinton is that a little bit. But I mean, he scored at the weekend, and if he keeps doing that, then he should keep his place in the side and keep getting you points. So a bit of a wait and see, but yeah, I fancy it's not the worst pickup this week, actually. Okay, final pick of the week is someone I actually picked about a month ago for basically exactly the same reasons as I'm going to say now. It's not really come to fruition yet, but I think it could do in the future, and that's João Pedro. Scored against United, decent finish. He hasn't been starting really under Ranieri. He's been coming off the bench for about half an hour a week generally. but he does average a shot every 22 minutes, which is pretty high, and that's not bad. So in limited minutes, obviously that's not ideal, but with AFCON on the horizon, Dennis and Sarr both will be off. And at that stage, he'll be absolutely nailed into the team. And I could see him starting before then as well, to be honest, because he is playing quite well. So yeah, I can definitely see mid to long term, he'll be a good pick. And I think in the short term, he's not a terrible pick either. Especially as, forwards, there's so few of them in this format that, sometimes if you're in a bigger league, you just need to pick the guy up and hold him on your bench, especially if you're in sort of a double-digit man league. You need to be the one that picks him up before everyone else. And if you've got a dud spot in your front line, then I don't think it's a bad idea to just get him and sit and wait. So I'll probably tip him again in about another month. But I try and get him now before people latch on. So, yeah. So that wraps up all the picks this week. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit the like button and comment down below which of the picks do you think will score the most points this week in FPL Draft. Thank you for watching, and we will see you for the podcast, which should be coming out Tuesday evening UK time. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you then.